Okay, so now we're following up with our AppFlow videos. Well, we first did a flow one where we took the Salesforce data and took AppFlow and used the Salesforce connector to get events from Salesforce and have AppFlow put it on an S3 bucket in a directory. We looked at those records, and all my Salesforce records were there. Now we can go in there and modify them and update them, run the flow again. You'll see the updated data. Um, or we could do something different, which what we're going to do in this video is we're going to create another flow. An app flow, it's going to use an S3 connector, read those Salesforce contact records, and filter them and put them in a different folder. And let's assume for the moment that I could have filtered them initially, but I wanted the official contact records in this bucket, the full contact record in this bucket. So I get my full contact data from Salesforce, and then I could do anything I want with it as I run these flows. So in this flow two, that flow is going to connect to S3, read the records in context bucket, filter them, and put them back in this bucket. Like I said, this bucket could trigger a Lambda and put it in DynamoDB, which I'm not concerned about now. But we're going to take a look at that app flow. Let me see if I could do this again. This isn't working as I expected. Let me just go back. Let me just go back to my windows here. So basically, like I said, these Salesforce records went into S3 bucket, and now, like I said, I had a couple of buckets. This one I put the Salesforce contact records in. Now going to take the records out of this bucket and filter them and put them in this destination bucket. And like I said, I could have filtered them when I was pumping into this bucket, but I want all these fields for the contact object in this bucket. Maybe later I want to use um, Gina to query any attribute of my contact record. Okay, so let me go over here and take a look at this. So now look at my flows. I have this flow, which has my contact object from Salesforce. And I'm going to create a new flow. And in this flow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the flow name, oops, I'm going to name the flow name appropriately to understand that it correlates to this bucket, this destination bucket. So my flow name is I'm going to take my description is going to be it's going to be a flow from S3 Salesforce contact filtered. Okay, so that's good enough as long as I understand what it is. I'm not going to customize. I am going to say that this name is, let me just name it that. And let me go next. And my source name is, my source is going to be Amazon S3. I'm going to choose a bucket. Oh, what is the bucket I want to choose? It's this bucket. It's not my poly bucket. It's this bucket. And now the interesting thing here is I do have to put the prefix. So if the prefix is going to be this name here. So for some reason now I have to specify the prefix, whereas before it automatically happened, right? Um, I'm going to say JSON format, and the destination is S3, and I'm going to put the destination to be, now notice the destination, the prefix happened automatically. This was optional, but I'm putting it in a particular destination. And like I said, I could do some stuff with glue and etc. But at the moment, I don't want to mess with that right now. It's easy to go into a bucket and point to a bucket and introduce glue and etc. But this is a flow, and so yeah, I might want to modify the flow to do that. Okay, so now what do I want? Amazon S3. I'm not going to map all the fields directly, but I do want the email, the name, phone, and I'm going to say title. Yeah. Let's see what happens with this. Okay, and so what I have is these four fields. Now this is, like I said, from an Amazon perspective, this is fantastic. It really is, because I'm really kind of doing my ETL thing without writing any code, and it's really good. Mapping fields. Okay, I'm not gonna map. I'm not gonna rename fields. I'm not gonna, concatenate anything, and I'm not even gonna validate anything. I just want to show. I want to see how this works, and I just want to. Okay, you need to map at least one field. So um, let me see what happened here. Now it's making me manually um, do this. What is my formula? This is my formula. I'm going to map email to email. I don't really want to do this. Let me just go back and see what's going on here. Okay, so I have to click on this map fields directly, which is what I did for the other fields. So I got four fields. I'm just mapping them directly. It shows me this. It doesn't show me all the fields. It just shows I'm mapping them directly. So I see them. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting because it at this on this page I don't really see all the maps. I don't see all the mappings because I've clicked on this. Before that, I had all the fields that I was mapping, and let's see what happens when I. Let me move on. Um, Let me go into next. I'm not filtering. I'm really just, well, I am filtering implicitly, but The selected configuration has no support for filter because I already filtered already. So let me just go next. Data in, okay, so here's the results of my flow details. Here's my flow name, my description. On here it shows me the fields that are mapped. I notice I think I had over 60, 59 fields. I forgot how many fields I had in the Salesforce contact object, and now I'm just looking at 4 fields, which is great because what I could do is I could let my Salesforce contacts run for a month, and then I could take all that data and then produce a slimmed down version of data in bulk format, and then I could work with that if I wanted to. No validations. Blah, blah, blah. So I create the flow. My flow is created, and now I'm going to run the flow. And now my flow ran. So now what I'm going to do is say, well, wait a minute. We took all of these objects and we put them in a different bucket, right? It is this destination bucket. Now it went into this flow directory, and this is my. I don't understand the hierarchy, what happened here, but it's different than when I last ran it. Um, so I'm in the destination bucket in this folder, and it's got this identifier. And now I'm inside that. I'm going to download this file. And now I'm going to look at it. And so now I have the filtered data. I just have the email, the name, the phone, and the title. So so it's just another simple example of an app flow, creating a new app flow. Now, the other thing I want to show you is that in app flow, when I look at flows, so I have these 2 flows. And by the way, just so I point out, this, and this are using the same connector because they're all using the Salesforce uh, authentication credential, and they're they're using that connector, Salesforce, which is authenticated and can receive events. So I just want to point that out. Now, what I also want to show you is when I go into one of these flows, like this flow here, when I look at the run history, now let's look at this one because this one is simpler. This one shows me 4 attributes mapped. You could look at the run history. So the run history is going to show me. Now, this is also very useful because when I look at the run history, it's like, oh, it ran and there was some data transferred. Now notice it's only zero point 0.3 kilobytes. Only 3 records were processed, but it's good to know. Of course, if when I go into my bucket, I'm looking for that, right? And I see information, but not necessarily. I may not have to download this file like I did to really see how many records were removed, but this is the amount of data. Um, So so keep that in mind that the run history is really, really important. And I'm running these things manually. Now, to give you an idea about, okay, so maybe there is something uh, I should show you. maybe there is something I should show you, and that is going back over here and changing an attribute. Um, Now, when I go here and I change an attribute or change a value or change a report to or a phone number or anything, I could manually run the flow and get the records over into my buckets and filter into my buckets. So you'll see that it'll happen. But I do want to tell you, and I think what we could do is end this video now because we did the S3 flow successfully. And like I said, the only caveat here is if I go into this flow, I could run it again, but running this flow again, the source bucket didn't change, so it's going to result in the same result. I'll be just updating these get data with the same data. But if I go in here and I change some information, so let's suppose the report to here is no longer Kathy. I'm going to say it's now Steve. I'm going to save that record. Oh, I didn't change that report too, so that's not going to make a difference. Suppose I changed the email for Joey to be 1456, and I changed that email. Okay, so now in Salesforce, email has changed. So now I go over here and I say, well, wait a minute, how do I get this data back here? Um, so let me run this one. Let me run flow. That's going to put the data into my bucket. So that should have the new email address for Joey, let's say. And then let's suppose I go here again and I run this destination flow, which is pulling the data out of the bucket and putting it and filtering it and putting it into the final bucket. So notice there's an execution ID. And notice there's a URL here which shows me, and I find this to be a little bit confusing, but so this execution ID is A2, right? So let's suppose I go to the S3 bucket, and I could do that. Yeah, let me do it. Let me do it by going here, clicking on this. Now I'm in the destination flow bucket. So now I'm trying to figure out which one I should be looking at, and it's this one, right? This was the A2, because my app flow pointed to A2, right? So I go here and I click on this. And now this is interesting. Let's see. 1209, 1209. It looked like it pumped in two sets of records. So I don't, trying to understand a little bit. This is a file. So let me download this one and let me open it. And sure enough, Joey now has the new email address. So just keep in mind that these are manual runs, um, and I don't really have a good grip on the cost of AppFlow, um, and I'll find out soon enough. But 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 I do want to show you that I do want to tell you and show you one more last thing. Okay, so remember I went back. Remember uh, with flows, my first flow I didn't discuss. This flow was automatically created when I created custom profiles with Amazon Connect. So the idea was to say, okay, when I have customer profiles, um, when I change data in Salesforce, I want events triggered. I want AppFlow to push that data to my customer profiles in Amazon Connect. So notice here that these were on-demand triggers, and this is a scheduled trigger. So I don't recall doing this and scheduling. As a matter of fact, conf- I don't recall defining this at all. It kind of like automatically happened behind the scenes. So I'm looking at this, and when this customer profiles is from Amazon Connect, this is my domain name. This is the connector I was using, and this is the object, contact object that I was um, displaying. Now, I just wanted to go here to show you this because if you look and I tried to map all the objects, well, the contact object to everything. Um, but if you look at the run history here, you'll see that this thing is running every 5 minutes, and 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 I picked up the changes that I made to my Joey. I made some changes to the records in Amazon Connect, and when the job ran again 5 minutes later, it picked up the new values. So this, which like I said, I didn't really control this. All I did was activate customer profiles. This app flow is it's scheduled every 5 minutes. And when I change Salesforce records, 5 minutes later, they get pumped in to customer profiles in Amazon Connect. So that brings us to, let's just follow it up with one more video. Okay, so that brings us back to, let me just end this video.